Hezbollah in the very short term, so we're talking about the next few weeks, potentially the next few months maybe, they wouldn't necessarily want an immediate escalation. They want to give time for the state to exhaust everything when it comes to political measures. Of course, get the events that they have out, primarily the funeral of Sayyid Hassan al-Salah and Sayyid Hashim Safiuddin. And then we will talk about what's happening in terms of the confrontation with Israel. However, Hezbollah existed because of the Israeli occupation. And the resistance movements exist because of the Israeli occupation. And Israel is giving them reason now to remain there, because they're breaching by their presence in the southern part of Lebanon the 1701 agreement that they had from 2006, following the 2006 war. And their armed presence in South Lebanon is giving Hezbollah a reason to remain there, to remain in South Lebanon. Because if Israel is going to be in South Lebanon, why should Hezbollah withdraw from South Lebanon? These things are very important. And the more time goes by, the more people will realize that no, Hezbollah actually have a point. They're going to have to take action at some point, and we're going to have to support them with or without the Lebanese state. Moving on to the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about. The tensions are rising between Egypt and Israel, and we've been covering a level of these dangerous developments happening in the past few days. And now we even have a more dangerous statement coming from the previous deputy ambassador to Cairo, the Israeli previous deputy ambassador, Ruth Wasserman Landa. She had an interview on one of the Israeli radio stations called 104 FM. And according to her, with all due respect to political correctness, there is a military deployment that requires an explanation. You're talking about a senior diplomat who worked in Egypt as a deputy ambassador. She said that I wouldn't rush to rely on the dramatic cancellation of the Camp David Accords. However, I think the recent developments are indeed dramatic. I wouldn't belittle them at all, but I would suggest trying to look at it rationally. Since we know that a reason for war is made up of two main components, according to her. The first is ability, and the second is component, and the willingness to go to war. And unfortunately, there is ability here, she's saying. And she added, in a way that is not implied in any way, the reference scenario against Egypt and the way it's training is Israel. In terms of capability, they are placing forces in the Sinai Peninsula. And the level of enforcement, which in my opinion, according to her, is very worrying. And she continued, this is not a matter of hysteria, but rather a careful observation. But with all due respect to political correctness and the caution we demonstrate in everything related to Egypt, there is a real military buildup and reinforcement here that is not simple and requires an explanation. So some people have been observing the developments in Egypt with unprecedented numbers of equipment, of military presence in the Rafah area, in the northern Sinai area, drills, senior figures in the military on the borders with Israel, all of that. Some are saying, oh no, it's just a joke, it's just all theater. However, Israel itself is not considered this a theater. The Israeli people who were actually working inside of Egypt, this woman was a deputy ambassador to Egypt. She's saying also all of this money coming in from the United States, $5 billion that the Americans are supposed to transfer, not for civilian purposes for Egypt, but for military purposes. She's saying, if you ask me, this thing needs to be explained with a very, very satisfactory explanation of why Egypt needs such a significant military buildup. Of course, apart from the tone here of, being inquisitive and cautious, you can of course sense the level of arrogance and entitlement. They are entitled to have nuclear bombs that no one talks about, and endless support from the United States, but other countries don't. Why should Egypt have it? We should only have it. But she's still very concerned about that. And then she's saying also, it shouldn't just be satisfactory only. It needs to satisfy the whole issue of readiness. Why are they at such a high level of readiness? It's not just the equipment that they're having in. They are fully ready for war. What are they preparing for? In terms of statements, Egypt creates its own agenda, and the Egyptians do not do it carelessly. They don't do it carelessly, and since October the 7th, they have had, at the highest levels, Egypt expressing themselves very, very strongly. And it leaves no doubt, according to her, the fear of unrest and the departure of masses of Palestinians, which is a pretext for war. She's saying that this would be a pretext for the forced expulsion of the Palestinian people, would be an excuse for war with Israel. So she's not considering the Israeli actions. She's not criticizing the Israeli war in Gaza. She's not criticizing the ethnic cleansing campaign and all of that and how it would affect Egypt. But she's criticizing Egypt in case that's going to be imposed on them. Well, of course, they're going to have to be prepared. Israel, like the United States and some other Western countries too, they're complaining about immigration. Israel is trying to forcibly expel people. They have been actively going through a genocide and are now stating that they want to ethnically cleanse people from their land. And the ironic thing is that the leaders of this plan, Benjamin Netanyahu, real surname Milikowski, Polish, Yisrael Katz, Romanian, and Smotrich, Ukrainian. The foreigners who came in and some of them changed their names, changed their identities, created this fake nationality, are coming to tell the owners of the land, you shouldn't be here, you should be expelled. And they're complaining about other countries protecting their borders and protecting their safety and sovereignty. But the main thing about this report is that every action that is being taken by Egypt now on the Sinai Peninsula, especially in the areas close to Gaza and close to the Israeli borders, every move is being monitored very, very carefully from an Israeli perspective, and Israel is taking it very seriously. And the fact that Egypt is so prepared about any potential action being taken by Israel and the United States is bothering them very much.